How to get the most out of your public defender in Washington State. If that is a question that you're interested in, this is the video for you. My name is Lance Fryrear, and I'm a private defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. We have a law firm that's been defending people charged with crimes for more than 20 years, and we often get phone calls saying, hey, I've got a public pretender, or my public defender's not calling me back, and I'm really frustrated. What do I do? So if you're in that situation, again, this is a video for you. In this video, I'm going to cover, well, let's call it three things. One, what is a public defender and what do they do? What are their motivations? Two, what you don't want to do to try to get the most out of your public defender, things that will really make it worse for you. And three, what are some things you can do to help your public defender help you? So if you find this video useful, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. It helps get this information out to more people in the public. And so with that, I'm going to jump right in. So one, what is a public defender? What do they do? And even how do you get one? Well, a public defender is an attorney, and usually a very good attorney. Public defender is basically paid by the state or the city. They're paid by the government, but they only interest is their client. They're not trying to help the government. They're trying to help the person charged with the crime who can't otherwise afford an attorney. And so a public defender is usually, believe it or not, people say public pretender. They're not pretenders. They're usually very good attorneys, and they really want to help their clients. How do you get a public defender? Well, you have to apply with the court. So the court will tell you how it's done, and each court is different. But there's usually an income requirement, and you have to, make so little take-home pay after expenses to be able to qualify. And sometimes you have to pay some money for a public defender back to the court called recoupment, and sometimes you don't. And so if you get appointed a public defender, the court should let you know who your public defender is or what law firm or agency and let you know how to contact them. And we've all had horror stories. There are good and bad public defenders, just like good and bad attorneys. But in general, you want to go in with a positive attitude because that gets into number two. The second thing you want to cover is what not to do to get the most help from your public defender. Well, what you don't want to do is, be mean to them, insult them, call them a public pretender. And maybe you've had some bad experiences with public defenders if you're watching this. And then, I'm not at all invalidating your experience because, it's true. There are bad experiences. But when you go into this new relationship, you want to be positive. This person is there to help you. So don't try to be negative. Don't try to insult them, stuff like that. Seems obvious, but it's a really scary time to be charged with a crime. What else not to do? Well, don't try to tell them how to do the job, right? You do get to ask questions. You do get to ask about their experience. But, a public defender, the advantage a public defender has is they're always in the same court. They know the prosecutor well. They know what works and what doesn't work from repeated representations against the prosecutor. They know the judge. They know what the judge likes and doesn't like. And so those are some advantages of the public defender. What are the disadvantages of having a public defender? Well, the obvious one is they have so many clients at once. And that's why, public defenders have it hard. I was a prosecutor for 7 years myself, and we have it pretty hard as a prosecutor before I was a defense attorney. And I covered a public defender calendar a few times, and let me tell you, it was overwhelming. And so it's hard to represent so many clients at once. The other thing that's hard for a public defender is repeated negotiations. If the public defender has 20 clients on one court calendar, not every client can be special in the way they describe that client to the prosecutor. And if they try to describe everyone like that, the prosecutor probably won't listen. So those are disadvantages. And one reason you want to try to, if you can, get a private attorney, but this video is about how to get the most out of your public defender. So the third thing, which is probably mostly important, how do we get the most out of our public defender? Well, help them help you. If they call you with their limited time, be available. Don't miss the appointments. Do call them back. Do try to do what they ask. And if you don't have money to do what they ask, they want you to do classes, just explain, hey, I don't have the money right now, but help them and tell them when you might. If you need to do an alcohol evaluation, it may cost a couple $100 and you may not have that just yet. So try not to hide out. Try to let the public defender know, because they can likely get more time in court to help accommodate your situations. It's not uncommon. So try to be available when they're reaching out to you. Number two, help them with your case. That doesn't mean call them up and tell them everything on the phone. What I like to suggest is, if you have witnesses, write down the witnesses. Write down their name, their phone number, if you have an email, and what you expect them to say. How might they help your case? If you can hand them a piece of paper or send them an email with a nice list, and make sure it says attorney-client privilege in the email or on the paper, because this is a confidential communication between you and your attorney, it makes it easier for them to do their job, right? One real common thing about everybody is we're typically not going to go out of our way to try to see things a certain person's way if we don't have it spoon-fed to us, right? And so this attorney who wants to help you is also wanting to help a whole lot of other people. So if you have a witness or you have your side of the events, it can help to write it down and give it to your attorney. Again, ask your public defender if they prefer things that way, but that's something that we have our clients do for us in my private firm. The third way you can help the public defender help you is try not to have your parents or your friends and family reach out to the public defender on their own. A public defender has to live by some pretty strict confidentiality rules. In other words, they're not going to be able to call your parent back. They're not going to be able to call your friend back who's just trying to help. If you want the public defender to talk to those people, you're going to need to, in writing, give your public defender permission to do so. Okay, so don't get that person bombarded with other people who are trying to help you and love and care about you, because a public defender can't just call them back necessarily without some permission for you. They can if they're a witness, but if they're just interested parties trying to help, try to make sure that you contact your public defender and say, well, how is it that I can authorize these people to talk to you? Because it's frustrating for the public defenders to go through that. Again, I've never been a public defender. I've shared office space with public defenders for years, though. I've prosecuted against public defenders. And so these are my ideas about how potentially to get the most out of your public defender. So if you find this helpful, again, please please subscribe. And, if you have a public defender and you're thinking about going to a private attorney, want to find out how much it costs, feel free to give us a call. We do our best to try to adjust our rates in general based upon people's need and their circumstance, how easy or hard it is, and how much we want and are able to help. So it doesn't hurt to call. And if we think we can help, we'll set you a consultation. And if we get on board, we'll do everything we can to try to get your life back to normal as soon as possible. We'll be there for you. Thank you.